What's up?
How's it going? How
I'm
are you?
good. I'm good.
I look like I'm hiding behind my mic.
I
Yours,
know.
you have a nice professional setup.
This is my 7-year-old's like little nightstand.
Gosh, it's like a little like a footrest.
She uses it in front of her vanity, which is like
Oh,
tiny.
so you a 7-year-old and then you have two kids, right?
Yeah, 7 and 10.
I did a little bit of stalking. I didn't want to over prepare. Sometimes I go to the extreme and it's like stalker level and then it's never a good thing.
Yeah, no, I get that. I get that.
Let me make sure that this is actually recording.
Yeah.
Do I need to have like a specific setting in Zoom, or as long as my GarageBand mic is hooked up here and it's recording, I'm good?
Yeah, you should be good. And I use Adobe Audition
Hmm.
to record everything. So I'm going to make a recording too. So hopefully
Perfect.
with Zoom recording, you recording, and me recording, we're going to get
We'll
it.
have something to go off of. That's like
Exactly.
always my biggest fear is like, I don't know how to do this stuff. I'm not super tech savvy. So like we'll have this incredible conversation and nothing's recorded or usable.
Yeah, no, I get that. The first couple of times I recorded yoga with Only Human, it was like it didn't record right. It recorded the wrong screen. And I was like, I'm just going to throw my computer at the wall. Zoom
And
has been a thing for everyone to learn.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Also, like, I don't think I ever used Zoom before the pandemic.
Yeah.
Never once. It just wasn't a thing.
What's it's crazy to me. This has really caused like why weren't we doing this the whole time? Because I mean, we're called Only Human and we're all about humanizing people. And
Yeah.
there's nothing I hate more than a conference call.
Oh, it's so true. It's so true. A lot of people like to just hear themselves talk during meetings, I
Yeah.
find. And, I'm all about listening, but sometimes it's like, or I think about people who, or companies who maybe felt like their people couldn't work from home. And now it's completely different because everyone's working from home and it's just fine.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like every time I'm on a conference call, when I can't like visually see cues, I'm going to talk over at least 7 people.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Oops,
Oh,
I'm sorry.
yeah.
Yeah.
Your dog.
Yeah. She's probably going to wake up
Oh,
at some point.
what's
This
her
is
name?
Mika.
Nika with an N or an M?
Mika with an M.
Mika.
Huh.
Apologies in advance if Rusty, like he doesn't bark until I'm on a conference call or recording something because he thinks that people are in the house if I'm talking out loud. So
Yeah,
he wants to come say hi.
I love it. So how do I sound? Is it good?
Everything sounds perfect. I haven't
Awesome.
like listened to, I can see that my thing is recording. So hoping for the
Sweet.
best here.
Yeah.
I like that we both have our rainbow on.
I know, right? Well, these are our new Pride shirts. We
I
just did
figured that.
our photo shoot. I had so much fun.
The
So
things
much
that
fun.
honestly, the things that you're creating, the content that you're creating and the even the graphics, are you doing a majority of that?
All of
Because
it.
you're a freaking marketer. Like
Yeah.
you do graphic design, all of it, everything.
Yeah, I call myself a Jane of most trades.
I
And
love that. I'm
I mean,
a professional dabbler is what I call myself.
yeah, like I'm not really a master of anything, except most people will call me a master of technology because I'm like one of those people where it's like it won't be working for a week and then I'll touch it and it
Yeah,
just worked.
turns to gold.
Yeah, and I'm like, I don't know. I know I love technology and I feel like it senses it. It knows
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, see, I love that about you because if I touch it, it just breaks immediately right before my very eyes. But
Yeah.
as far as like running a company, running your own business, and then being able to do all of those things, it helps out so much, especially with if you, I don't know how you are, but if I have an idea, I usually get them in the shower. Those are where I have my best ideas. So I have like a waterproof notepad in there just in case. Um, but when I get an idea, I will not rest for like a week straight or stay up the whole night and just create it right then and there from like any of the graphic design, the website, any of that. And I can't imagine not having those skills and having to wait for other people to stay up all night with me.
Yeah.
Are
Oh,
you are you the
I
same way or
actually
how are you?
I feel like when I was young, I broke through that early because I hated what I learned in school. And I went to community college for all of like a year and a half and just couldn't do it. I wasn't meant for that environment. I needed to learn what I wanted to learn. So
Yep.
I call it YouTube University. And I have
Mm,
a master's degree at this point at searching
so true.
anything. I'm pretty sure I could change like out an engine if I
Yep.
needed, because you can
Yep.
find it on YouTube.
Right.
So self-taught completely. Anytime I get frustrated or want to do something, like I have so much passion. I'm like you, have an
Mhm.
idea, mine come in the car, really
Oh,
inconvenient
yeah.
time, can't write it down. And I'm not really like a voice memoer.
Mhm.
So it's just locked in my head. And then I get out and I'm like, okay, I'm going to build a website. I have to launch all the photography. I got to set up a video shoot. I got to do this,
Yep.
that. And yeah. How do
And
you
the
stay
thing and
organized,
the
like with tasks?
right.
That's
And
where
the
I'm
thing
like,
is you can do all of the beauty of it is like you're like I got to schedule a photo, like you can do all of that within yourself. So do you ever have a hard time asking for help? I know
oh
I
yeah.
struggled with asking for help because I was a perfectionist for so long, still struggle with that. But also with group projects as a kid in school, I was like, I'll do it. I'll do it all because then I'll know it'll be fine.
Yeah, totally. Totally. It wasn't, I feel like this last year I really did work on that. It was something I had to reflect on and be like, if I'm going to get to this next level, because there's always a next level, wherever you get and evolve to, there's always something past that.
Right.
And as I've evolved and realized, yes, I have all the skills, but I do not have all the time.
Mm,
And other humans are incredibly talented and have a different perspective of things. And I think
right.
that's important in the world, you know,
Yep.
is acknowledging other humans' perspective and how they see art and beauty and color and how they would
Right.
captivate something. So being able to lean on more and more creatives for that and trusting it has been.
And then also it reaches more people and has more impact when you add other people's creative perspective to your vision or your mission, right? And
Yeah.
that's what it's about, is like bringing people together. And I think that so my podcasts are always different. We just start out with a conversation and um there's not really an introduction, or there never has been. I think there are a lot of times where we can like introduce someone and then they say their bio, but like that's stuff you can read about
Mhm.
on, you know, the mission statement or their website. I want to get into the heart of like who you are as a person, why you're creating the things that you do, um, what keeps you up at night, what are things you still struggle with, you know, what your adventure, your journey has been. Because I think that a lot of us, and I know I can only speak for myself, but I love seeing the end result of products, of course, but what's important is the process of getting there. And I think that's important with um, you know, humans too, and like sharing our story, because I think we can reach so many more people where they're at in that process if we're sharing our own, rather than here's the nice bow, the finished package. And like I've always thought, and social media makes it hard too, because you can very easily present in a way where I have it together, I figured it all out, and here is my perfect life, and here's all the
Mhm.
positive things and motivation. And sometimes I've been trapped in thinking the only way I can offer hope to people and a light at the end of the tunnel is by them seeing that I'm there already, you know, and
Mhm.
I'm not, you know, a lot of us aren't. So what's your view kind of on that? I know that I do want to talk about Only Human and you, but we'll get into that. I want to know. We'll just kick it off.
Totally. I actually think that's why I have loved following your journey, because you honestly show the process. And isn't that what learning is all about? What growth is? If we can't watch someone else do it correctly or incorrectly, or how they mess up or how they get through it, then we're not learning in a real world type way. Like that's
Yep.
hands-on learning right there. And I absolutely love it. I'm not a book person, I'm a human person, and I love finding new people that are lit up about something they love and just watching them do it.
Seeing them in their element, seeing
Yeah,
anyone in their element doing something they love fuels me. It fuels
totally.
me. And I remember that's kind of what got me through some of my, um, you know, darker years too, is knowing that there are people out there who are in their element doing what they love, but also sharing that like behind the scenes, the process of all of it. Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have this thing with Only Human called our impact model, and it's how we believe we recreate success and do it within other humans, like one human at a time. And the
Mm,
first step of that is that it starts with you. It starts with yourself. Always starts with one human who decided they wanted something different for themselves and went after it. For us, that speaks to our value of never stop growing. We put out a lot of tools and resources to help you get unstuck, to move through those hard times. And that's what I did. It's funny talking about Only Human now, because Only Human was me. It was just my personal account, and it grew from there. And then I realized it wasn't just about me. It was about finding community. And that's the second step in our model. Is it starts with you, and then you find those people that say, I see what you love and I want to support you in all that you do. And they lift you up and they want to like be there cheering you on. And when you find those people, whether it's yoga or photography or, you know, dressing up in cosplay, there's community everywhere, and you just have to seek it. Then you find community, and together what we are capable of is so incredible. It gets me every time, because I'm like, if we could just bring all these wonderful humans together and have them lit up about the thing they're good at, then think of all the change that we could create in the world. And for us, that's the giving back. So that's the, how do you take what you love and apply it to your community, to your friends, to yourself, to make sure that and I did a yoga class this morning, and Bonnie's whole thought in it was that you can't make someone else happy. I'm never going to make you happy. Happiness comes from within. And if we can get in touch with that, if we can make ourselves happy, then by way of that happiness, our communities change. We can help and support one another. And for me, every time I've done that, it fills me up to this point where I'm like bursting of, I have to tell other people that if you just do what you love authentically and you then help other people with that thing, you are going to be in a completely different spot in your life than you could have ever dreamed. And then that's the final piece, is taking that, all that you've done, and sharing it with someone else, because that's how you ignite it in someone else, is sharing your process. You've messed up and succeeded. And then by sharing it, you impact other people. When you authentically share your story, you're touching someone. And I think that every time, like, I post on Instagram, even though it's like a social media platform, I think, is this authentic? What is the story I'm telling? And what am I inspiring them to go actually do for themselves?
The impact model. I love that. So where do we go about finding this? Is this something that I could put in a blog post?
Oh yeah, for sure. Just on our website, our about page has it, along with all the core values that we live by. And I love our core values because we actually call them out in our day-to-day life of like, oh, one of our core values is better together. It's like, there is that in action. Like, look at that playing out.
There's proof of it. Yeah.
Yep.
And that's when it comes to life. I'm a visual person, so I like to see that, like seeing a step. I like steps and timelines, but like seeing that come to life and seeing that impact model, you know, just having the action behind the words is super important. You know, I think also with Pride Month coming up, that also rings true with like brands, where it's easy to put, you know, a rainbow on product and sell it to make money. But what's very, very important, and why I've worked with certain brands that I have over the last couple of years, is, are they telling the stories behind those faces, you know, of our community to reach people? It's not just a monetary thing, right?
Yeah.
And so back to the impact model and what you said about helping people. And I've been trying, I feel like I went in, and we all go on our own journey of it, and we're stronger for it, right? But I feel like I started in a different way, where I was trying to save people, save, and like went really, really hard, really fast. And it was good for a time, but I was just talking on my podcast about how that can only last for so long before you're out of energy. And I've come to find out that saving people or helping people really starts with doing that for yourself first, and sharing that story. Obviously, talking to a therapist and professionals about where you're at first, you know, and then sharing that story. I think when people witness that, and they witness that you've saved yourself, and you're real about that, then that can save others and help others.
Yeah. And I think it goes back to that whole happiness doesn't come externally. It doesn't come to you. It comes from you. And it's the same thing with wanting to save people or fix their situation. It's like, only come when they have the right tools or they're ready to do that for themselves. And all you can provide is an example. So I always say, like, lead by example is, you know, are you practicing what you're telling these people? Yeah.
You talk a lot about like owning your struggles, and that's where I'm at right now too, is the process of taking responsibility and ownership for where we're at, and of course the past and maybe the struggles and the trauma we've been through. Recognizing and sitting in that pain from the past, right? Maybe there is blame to be placed there, but then there's a responsibility on ourselves to take ownership of our struggles, you know? And do you think someone has to hit, or you could just share your own story, you know, with, I know in 2015 you mentioned was a really crucial time in your story, maybe like a turning point. I don't know if you viewed it as that then while you were in the thick of it, but do you think we have to hit rock bottom once, twice, you know, like in order to make a significant change for ourselves, you know?
Yeah. So I'm reading Glennon Doyle's new book, Untamed.
I'm on my second round of it. It's too
Oh,
good.
It seriously is. And I've had to go through it slow because it's like, I got to process some of these.
Yeah.
But the line that I love the most is, we are alive only to the degree to which we are willing to be annihilated. And that speaks to every rock bottom moment. And I think what happens with the human experience is we think it's going to be perfect. And as Glennon put it, that we're doing it wrong if it hurts or it's hard. But it's not. That's just what it is.
Right.
And somewhere in the acceptance of deep struggle, you find your strength. You find how you move through things. And then the next time you're up against something hard, you have all of those skills to come back to and build on. And that's growth. That's, you know, being human. No idea what just happened.
Is someone at your door?
Yeah,
I thought I heard
so.
that. Do you need to pause it?
Yeah, hold on.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Whew.
That was, I think that terrified you more than the dog. I think it terrified you more than it did the dog.
I can't wait to go back and watch that in the recording.
It like shook your whole screen.
It scared me. She can be scary. She is literally a big teddy bear.
She's a big dog.
But man, when she gets that bark on, I'm like, oh.
Yeah. It was like from the pit of her soul, her
Yes.
bone marrow.
That wasn't expected. That was a delivery.
No worries. What were we even, like hitting rock bottom and like what that looked like for you? And do you think we all have to get to that point? Because I know a lot of us can, when we're in the thick of it, you know, people can say things or try to help. And sometimes you're just not in a place to even hear it, or it's more daunting, you know. And what was your process for owning your struggles, and what was 2015 for you?
Yeah, it was my rock bottom moment. It was actually where Only Human was birthed. I always say rock bottom is a really solid foundation that you can just build on.
I like
and
that.
You can either unpack and live there. Like, you can pitch a tent in rock bottom, and that's where a lot of people will choose to live, because they choose to feel as though life went wrong, instead of that life is going as life will, and that you have to accept all those movements along the way and find your way through it. And everyone's recipe is different. And 2015 was the end of a toxic relationship that had been multiple years long. We owned a home together. I then lost that home, had to restart life. And then when I moved out and restarted life, I lost my job. And so in the course of a couple months, my life just came crashing down. And I was actually in a bar one night, and I remember setting down a warm Bud Light and being like, this isn't my life. I can't keep living this night. It was like Groundhog's Day. Like, I was waking up and doing the same things, drinking the same stale beer, laughing at the same bad jokes. And I was like, if this is all life is, I can't do it. Like, I got to find something different. And so within 12 weeks, I lost 25 pounds, got in the best shape of my life, somewhere in the midst of physical change, my mentality completely shifted. And that was the realization that this is there for everyone, that you are capable of achieving so much more than you ever know if you were to just move through that fear, that moment of what if I don't make it? What if I don't succeed? And I'll never forget the night I was at a dinner with who is now one of my best mentors. Her name's Lauren Bailey, and she sat next to me and she said, Bree, I've never seen someone so passionate and lit up about something they haven't even really begun. You know, like it was just this idea of like, I had this job where I was miserable, 6-figure job, good living.
I lost your video.
Oh no.
Bye.
Let's see.
There you are.
We're back. But I left the 6-figure job and decided that I could do it because Lauren sat there and said, you know, if you were to fail, if you tried this thing and you gave it your all and you ended up, you know, with nothing, could you find food to eat? Were there people to support you enough that you could like live on someone's couch if you needed to? And were you willing to just restart from them, knowing then that you wouldn't die with the regret of what if I had done that thing?
Yep.
So I did. And in true
so
Bree
scary,
fashion,
so risky, but like also one of the most liberating feelings ever.
Totally.
Yeah.
And I am an Aries through and through, head first, jump off the cliff, build the plane on the way down. So following that, I recorded a video one night and was like, that's it. I'm doing it. I'm quitting my job. I'm quitting it tomorrow. I'm taking off. I'm going to sell all my stuff. I believe in this. I'm going to do it. And my boss calls me that night.
Oh no.
Oh, so you're quitting? And I was
What?
like, oh, I guess I made a few mistakes with that one.
Surprise.
So, yeah. But from that moment in the I can do this and believing in myself, the stepping through fear that I'm going to do it anyway, I unlocked something. And from that point forward, I really haven't looked back. I haven't.
Yeah.
I only look back to say, like, if I could go back and tell my past self something, it's like, start sooner. Just do it.
Totally.
Yeah.
I was just thinking that is like one thing. I don't regret a lot of things, but I wish I would have started. I hate wasting time. And I feel like I gave away what you were talking about. Time is so valuable. You know, it is all we have. And to have given it away so willingly and flippantly before, and I just feel like I wasted that time. So when I was ready, you know, like I could not do anything else. There was no other option than for me to pick up, quit my job and just leave. And yeah, it was saving myself in that moment. It was like, that was the first step in a very long process of, I need to do something different because this is not an option anymore. I feel stale inside. I feel like there's so much more. I feel like I've been wasting my time, not living my life. I've been living life for other people and for this box, fitting into this box that was created for me. And that box is so small and cramped, and you know, there's no need for that anymore. The time is like, when you feel that in your gut, sometimes you just have to follow it. And I know not all of us are in a place to where we could do that, you know, at that time. Like what advice would you give to someone who maybe is like, cause I get that a lot. Like not everyone can do what you did, Steph. You know, I picked up and left like within a month of quitting my job and left everything behind, but not a lot of people can act quickly like that and do something so risky. What's like a small step that someone can take to really make that change? You mentioned physical activity and changing your physical responses and habits. Like, what do you think about that?
Yeah. And when I hit rock bottom and then had to make those changes in that physical health time, that was 12 weeks of time. And over that time, I started saying, what could I be doing in all the time I'm wasting? Because we all waste time in some ways.
Yep.
Netflix, TV. I was just pouring my time into things that didn't matter. Too many happy hours. And, you know, for a while I pulled back on how social I was because I decided that I needed to work on myself, that I was only going to be the best friend, eventual partner to anyone if I could be happy myself, if that happiness could come from within.
Right.
And I would say, find what makes you happy. and learn more about it.
Mm.
Like dig
Yeah.
in.
Like
Is it
throw
a book?
yourself into it.
Exactly.
Right.
Because the only bad thing that can come out of that is nothing.
Is you
Like
have
you
a
can't.
new skill.
Right. Oh, oops, I learned some things.
Right.
And when you find the right thing that lights you up in the right ways, you'll find something or an idea will hit you that it's like, I think other people would want to hear this too. Or what if I could do this and it would help solve this problem?
Do you ever think about like the skills that you never practice or learn about that you could be really good at? And we may never even allow ourselves to get to that point to know we could be like, I think of that 8-year-old kid and like, I don't remember where he lives, but who is like this bassist prodigy kid. And I'm like, what if he never picked up a bass? Like what, you know what I think, how
Right.
many things out there are there that you could be so good at that we haven't even touched on, right?
Oh yeah.
And just not limiting ourselves with if we want to pick up something new, I think the fear of trying new things or getting out of our comfort zone, it is so scary, and it's easy sometimes to just exist in that comfort and what's familiar. Like I mean, it's such a cliche, but life is short. This
Yeah.
is all we have.
Yeah. And my biggest fear was like, what if I look bad?
Yeah.
And it was all about the external. I was bullied as a kid pretty badly, so as an adult I had these traumas about putting myself out there and then
Yep.
being hated for it, or
Yeah.
all the, and you know what, people are not going to like something that you do. Like
Yeah.
it's just, there's going to be someone who disagrees, and you have to learn how to be okay with that, because you know that this is making you happy, it aligns with your values, and especially if it is outwardly impacting people in a positive way, like you
Right.
have to let the haters stumble by. Like you
That's
just
so
gotta.
true. And that's hard. And it is easy to say, doing it when that one comment comes in out of, hundreds of positive comments, you take that one and you're just like, it eats away at you. I think that, like you said, like once you know for yourself and you have peace in your heart that you're doing things that make you happy, um, it won't matter as much. Maybe it still will, but it won't matter as much. And I think about, what I just asked some of my Instagram followers about crying and being able to access feelings, because that's something I've struggled with. And that's a hard topic, is admitting that sometimes you cry and
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you have a hard time. Sometimes you can't access feelings, and that's frustrating too. But I think that I want to talk to you about this and like the feeling of just being alone. And I think that a lot of us, what we're searching for is that community and the feeling of, hey, this is me, and I want that sense of belonging,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, and we're all just looking to feel a little less alone on our journey and in this world. And if we don't share our stories, it's almost impossible to relate to other people, because if we didn't share our stories, there'd be nothing out there. And I think for so long I didn't share my story because I was like, oh, so many people are already talking about that. But one more voice adding to that story, you may reach someone that wasn't hearing the other stuff. And I feel
Exactly.
like I just went through a whole list of random things, but I asked some of my Instagram followers if they've ever scrolled through their Instagram while crying. And I didn't know what the answer was going to be like. And from about, I think 300 people actually responded and voted, 74% of people had scrolled through their Instagram while in tears. And that just image stuck with me. And I'm like, what? I wish I knew what they were thinking, like what they were searching for in that moment. Were they searching for something to cheer them up? Were they searching for hope? Were they comparing themselves to others? Or maybe sometimes we torture ourselves by looking at so many happy things on Instagram. Um, I think that it's important to share the hard times too. And there can be shame around crying, and people sometimes feel uncomfortable watching someone cry or knowing someone is crying and having a hard time. And maybe we're afraid to have those discussions with someone in that dark moment because we don't have the answers. But I think what's important is listening,
Right.
listening to people and meeting people where they're at. We don't have to have the answers to everything.
Yeah. I mean,
I,
especially because
sorry,
that's like fixing
I just
someone.
like went on a tangent, like 7 bullet points, and then I was like, "What do you think?"
No, it's okay. I love it because I've been there, and I don't think I've ever scrolled through Instagram crying. My go-to emotion is more frustration than anything, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm a crier if it's like extreme home makeover and they did something really nice for a
Yes.
family
Yep.
and some good news with
I
John
was just gonna
Krasinski.
say that's.
It ruins me every time. I'm like,
Oh yeah. Yep.
but I've been that person that has scrolled through Instagram and it makes me feel continually bad about who I am. But I think that's awareness is once we're aware that that's happening. And honestly, this came because we went to Peru and I sat ayahuasca ceremony. And out
Oh
of that,
wow.
I was like clearly given this, hey, if you're following people on social media and it's continuing to make you feel bad that you're comparing your life to theirs,
Yep.
you need to hit that unfollow button. And it
So
was like
true.
as vivid as me actually doing it that I saw myself almost detoxing from these things that made me feel bad. And
Right.
that's where we don't have the answers all the time for other people because that would be fixing people. All
Mm-hmm.
we can do is inspire through our own journey, is,
Right.
show and open our own life for others to see and learn from and grow from.
And that
And
saves lives. That saves
absolutely.
lives. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's actually, I get asked a lot, what's the proudest, thing that has come out of Only Human for you?
That's
And
definitely on my list of things to ask. Go for it. I'm ready.
it's I remember the first time it happened. I was in Orlando, Florida. That a human walked up to me, and so you can just feel energy sometimes. And this
Yep.
is, I guess, where I'm really comfortable if someone cries around me. I'm very good at creating space for that.
Yeah.
And I could just tell when someone needs to say something. And I had this sidebar conversation, and she looked me in the eye and said, like, I was going to kill myself. And
Wow.
then I found your community. And I don't know how I found it or
Damn.
why I stumbled upon it, but I found you. And I had the plan, but then I found support. I found community. I found people who were willing to listen to the things I like to do and then lift me up for it. And I think that's where you're not as scared to share who you are when you're around all the right people. And sometimes
Exactly.
that's scary because those people are not your family.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the scariest thing for people because it's like, but my family's going to judge me for this, or
Right.
my church is going to judge me for
Mm-hmm.
this, or
Yep.
this group. It's like, if you're feeling like that, that means that you need to find the right community willing to support you, because then you're not going to have that fear because you have 6 people going, publish it, do it.
Exactly. Exactly. It's like creating the family that you want, creating that chosen family, right? That's the beauty in it, is finding the people that bring you to life, right?
Yeah,
And putting
absolutely.
them, um, lifting them up too, and being that support system. And I think on you talked on a video somewhere about um, mental health and bullying, and you might not be able to talk to the people that raised you or the friend group that you grew up in, or talk to your family. Sometimes in that dark moment, you might be able to find a forum like on Only Human, a platform there where there are other people who have shared their stories, and right in that moment something resonates, something clicks with you, and you can find this common ground with another person who might be a complete stranger. So I think these platforms like Only Human it's changing lives, it's saving lives, and it's meeting people where they're at. Even if you don't know that person, it's helping someone around the world, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Another core value of ours is come as you are.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have an advocate community, and now it's over 4,000 humans in like 50 countries. And
Wow.
we have a private group, and there's talks of leadership and struggle and success. And we see people getting promotions and posting about it. And I've seen now marriages, best friends, all of these relationships form out of this group because people decided to share themselves with
Right.
others and
Right.
share what was inside and share the hurts and the struggle. Because then if you share with me your darkest, it's really easy for me to hold you up in your lightest.
Yep.
I just
Yeah.
love that about community.
One thing that really stuck out, you were talking also on another podcast where you were talking about when you started Only Human, it was you. Like this was your story and you put it out there, you know, and you talked about, I cried many times on Instagram, on social, because you were in the thick of it. You were going through that process of creating yourself, right? Do you look back and think, oh, I put out too much at the beginning? Do you regret that? Or do you think that was all part of what you needed to do to create your story, right?
Yeah. I was listening to a podcast the other day with Oprah and Lady Gaga about
Mm.
how Lady Gaga was created from her trauma.
Mm.
It was what she used to heal
Wow.
herself and now has become this inspiration to so many. And that's just so clicked with me because I never anticipated that Only Human was going to become what it is now.
Yeah.
But I kept stepping, kept moving through that. And out of my personal story, out of my sharing, Only Human was built. So it is literally my growth and trauma that's now inspiring and helping other people through those same hard times and still continues to help me through those deep moments. Not to say I
Yeah.
don't have intense imposter syndrome, which I think is probably the
Totally.
thing that comes up the most for me. I'm
We
like,
could talk on that for a full hour.
yeah,
Imposter syndrome. I think, yeah.
it's,
Do you want to say anything more on that? Because I think if we dive into that a little bit, we'll have a good conversation there.
oh my
It's such
gosh.
a big part of so many creatives, I feel like too.
Mm-hmm. And I didn't go to school. And there's so much in this world that says a degree means you're good at it.
Yep.
And not that, I mean, I've been working in technology and in marketing since I was 18. Like
Mm.
I've worked for Apple. I was a Geek Squad agent with Best Buy. Like I have worked with people. I've learned from a lot of amazing mentors. I've taken courses on courses that of my choosing that
Yeah.
come with no credentials on the back end, but I've done it. I've done the
Right.
work. And still somewhere in there, there's a voice in my head that says, you never went to school. You're not as good as those other people.
Or waiting for they're going to figure me out. They're going to
Yep.
figure out that I've just like, I don't know what I'm doing or.
Totally. They're going to figure out that I don't have a degree
Oh
and
yeah.
that I've learned everything from YouTube and that's going to discredit me and then they're
Yep.
just going to think I'm a fraud and
Yep.
yeah, I'm in
Uh,
an entrepreneurs organization with my business partner and there's a lot of other business owners in there. So we get to hear firsthand some of these similarities and
mm,
struggle. And with a program like that, we're all really transparent with where we're at, where our businesses are at. So
yeah.
I've even had like the comparison moment of saying like, no, I'm in the same boat as everyone else, but I
Mm,
still wake up and still think today's the day. They're going to figure
yeah.
it out and it's all going to come crumbling down and it's just going to disappear.
Oh my gosh, it's so true. Also did not go to school. Um, and especially with photography. I mean, that's what kind of put me on the map. I picked up a camera and I threw the manual away. Like I just tried to figure it out on my own. Like there are still times when someone will ask me a technical question and I'm like, I'll send you a link. I have no idea. Like, and
Yeah.
I feel like the more that I own that struggle and own that part of my truth, that I use my camera to document stories. You know, I don't have it all figured out. I didn't, but it was a fear for so long that people are gonna be like, Steph is an LGBTQ international wedding photographer or whatever. And I'm like, I'm I'm basically telling stories. That's what I'm
Uh-huh.
doing. The camera just helps me do that, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like even if yeah, continue learning about your craft, right? Like never stop learning. But at the same time, I don't I don't feel like I need to learn everything about photography to be good at what I'm doing,
No.
right? You have to be good at people for a
It
lot of
it
that's the
takes
important part.
it's your eye. It's the
Mm.
eye for doing it, for being creative and letting that flow state come through when you're behind a camera. Because I'll even tell people after a wedding, sometimes I just black out and I'm like, I
Oh
don't
yeah.
remember anything that I did. And then there's like all these incredible photos because I was so living with one eye closed, which also
Mm,
gets me in trouble sometimes,
yeah.
especially if I bring my camera in like social situations or times when I want to connect. It's
Yep.
almost like a barrier between people. And
So
also,
true.
fun fact, for the first year of being a quote unquote photographer, I used automatic mode.
Oh yeah. I
Didn't even
think
move
we
out
all
of it.
did.
Yeah.
I also used a Canon Rebel for like half of my career. Like every tourist has a Canon Rebel T2i and that's what I used. Like and probably on automatic.
Yeah.
And if I didn't, everything was blurry and he turned it to black and white and called it art. I think that we're all going to mess up. We're not going to be perfect, but learning a new skill and trying something new, as long as you're having a good time and you're focused on connecting with other people, you can't go wrong. You really can't. Like,
Yeah.
and I think a lot of us live our lives for other people, and the days just pass by so quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Even through this pandemic, like 2 months has gone by, 3 months, and I'm like, it went by so fast for me. Um, but it definitely shifted a lot of my perspective on what I want to be doing and what I want to spend my time doing and what genuinely sets my soul on fire. Is it what I've been doing for the last 10 years? Parts of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we constantly need to check ourselves to say what makes us the happiest, write those things down, and try and figure out, even in small ways, little steps, to
Mm-hmm.
incorporate those into our daily lives, right?
Yeah, I think that's key. And actually, we put out a free resource and we
I
say that
love
it's
that you have resources for everything. Give it all.
everything.
Give it all.
It's crazy because I feel like I've built this insane content library over just a couple years, but it's taken all the other incredible humans out there collaborating with us to
Yeah.
help. So my life coach actually helped me develop this tool. It's just a values tool. It's to help you define like your top 10, 5, and 3 values. So we work your way down, but your core values are those things that you should filter everything through. Like for
Yeah.
me, it's inspire, design, and create. And like if I
Mm.
can do those things, if I can create something that's inspiring the world or inspiring myself, like I filter all that I want to do through those values. And if the answer is yes, I typically find a lot of joy and happiness in doing those things. And then if they don't, if they maybe hit one value and not all of them, or they feel a little off, it's usually because I'm not supposed to be doing that thing. And that's
So
my
true.
inner knowing, as Glennon
Yeah.
puts it.
Yep.
That's my intuition. And that's what we honestly need to start listening to more.
That's so true. I want to hear more about maybe off the record, like your life coach and the process there, and like um but I want to talk about a couple more things. I know that we're short on time too, but Pride Month.
Pride Month.
Freaking Pride Month, right? Like let's get into what you're doing, what Only Human is doing for Pride Month to celebrate what Pride Month looks to us personally, and also just for myself. I think I've had to redefine pride and the feeling of pride, because growing up in a religious environment, I was taught that there were negative, like a negative connotation around the topic of pride, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or being proud of yourself, or being just pride in general. And I wanted to ask you about your first pride experience too. Like if you remember your first pride parade and everything. Mine was in Palm Springs on accident when I was a kid. My parents took us on like a family vacation to Palm Springs, and it was the most gay I'd ever seen in my life. And my parents were so uncomfortable. And I remember feeling shame because at that point I was maybe 12, but I knew, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm experiencing my first pride situation and I feel like scared about it, but also like being able to watch people celebrate and live authentically just gave me hope.
Yeah,
What was your
absolutely.
first pride experience?
It was just with some friends, and I probably remember half of it because at that point I was drinking too much,
Yeah.
and there was a lot of dancing, and I remember it being very sweaty because we live in
Pride's
Arizona.
oh yeah.
They're
I
always
mean,
hot.
it doesn't even have to be pride in Arizona to be sweaty. It's just like you step outside and sweat.
It's true. My first pride, though, did feel like belonging. I
Mm,
remember thinking, wow, I see myself in so many other people here, and wow, I'm allowed to be me. I'm allowed to hold this girl's hand and not get glared at. And I just felt comfort
yeah.
in that. That's a big part of why looking at this year, looking at what COVID has caused, the amount of prides postponed or just straight up canceled this
Right.
year
Yep.
broke my heart.
Mm-hmm.
Because think of those young people who seek community, who may be, living in a household that doesn't accept them, so you
Or
have to go
or in a
outward.
country that doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you can go to this place where you're going to find that love and support that you've been seeking. And then among all of these things that are happening, when we're so alone, now we can't go connect with the one people or the groups of people that understand us.
Right.
And in that, we said, what can we do? Because we were supposed to be traveling to over 30 Pride events just in the month of June, and now nothing. So it's
Right.
like, okay, let's take this energy and let's put it somewhere else.
Yep.
So I don't know how we pulled it all off, but we have an incredible virtual Pride lineup happening through the whole month. From drag brunch hours to family panels where we're going to talk about how to start a family as a queer couple.
Yep.
We're bringing in specialists from like California Cryobank to talk about fertility and that process,
So
and
important.
the cost and everything, or adoption.
I was going to say the adoption process for the LGBT community. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and Tristan Reese from Family Equality. He's the director of family formation there. Wealth of knowledge around the topic, but we're bringing him in. And we just have all these other advocates and amazing people. We're doing a gender workshop. We're hosting a line dance lesson. There will be a talent show. All centered around Pride and just everything that festival holds for people, whether it's just the connection or the live music, and all those aspects culminate together to make Pride what Pride is. So we're trying to bring that to everyone's homes, wherever they're at.
That's incredible. That's going to make such a difference for so many of us. I think that really are on that like tail end of just feeling maybe burnt out from being at home and just needing that pick me up, and seeing the community come together and still be strong during this really weird time in our lives. I'm so excited for everything you're doing, and I can't wait. I'm so happy that I get to be a part of it too.
Absolutely. Yeah, we can't wait. I mean, we have people taking over Instagram like you will be, and doing storytelling and Q&As. And so watching our social all through June, if you want to join into any Pride event, it's going to be popping.
Yeah. I want to close on. Do you have any questions for me? Because I'm going to ask you like one deep question to end with, but I also didn't know if you had any questions. Are you good? I feel like we covered a good amount.
I could go on. I literally told Bonnie before this, I was like, I'm kind of nervous because I feel like I want to interview her.
Yeah.
Like, what gear do you use? How do you set up? How do you start proposals? Like, what there's so many questions I could ask, but that's a whole nother podcast.
Well, ask anything you want, and I'll trim some of this down to put in, certain things, but you can ask me whatever you'd like. And if I don't know the answer, I'll make one. I'm just kidding.
Okay, I'm going to steal this one from Tim Ferriss. In the last 6 months, what thing have you found like the most joy or use out of that costs you less than $100?
Ooh. Less than $100, most use out of, I'm looking around. That's a great question.
I know, it gets people too. It'll stump you.
Do you have your answer?
So I just got this again, so I'm going to count it. This little handle on my water bottle.
Ooh.
So much joy. I no longer get frustrated.
Where's it from? Is it on a hydro flask? Is that what you're?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. It's one of our hydro flasks, but it fits on any. And honestly, I clip things to it. I clip it on my backpack. Like if you're out shooting, because I get dehydrated a lot when I shoot because I forget to drink water.
It's true.
So
I wear a Camelback. No, I'm just kidding.
Be a good idea.
It's not a bad idea. Yeah. I think what my answer is going to be is my plants and succulents and flowers. Like that is, if I've had a day, like I will turn off my phone, turn off technology, and just like pretend like I know what I'm doing with plants, even though I'm probably just killing them all. But I'll like repot them and like water them. And I'm like, I think I watered them yesterday, but oh well. Yeah, probably plants, which is, yeah. What else? Let's play a round of question game.
Do you have a favorite book right now?
Oh, it's Untamed for sure. I don't even know if it's like right now. I think it might be in life, which I have a hard time picking favorites of anything. It always has to be top 3. Untamed for sure is one of those books that like hit me over the side of the head. And I just have to keep going back on Audible and re-listening to everything. And I think what it is about Glennon is that she's just so real in owning her struggles, right?
Mm-hmm.
And saying it in a way that is obviously true to her own story, but in a way that's relatable for so many people, right? Like it's on the best-selling Christian books right now,
Yeah.
you know? And I'm like, that's what everyone needs to hear, whether you're a Christian in church who maybe your kid just came out as bi and you're dealing with your own thoughts on divorce. And there's just, it's so relatable. And I love that about her. I love that about that book. I'm also reading a book called The Anatomy of Loneliness by Teal Swan, which is like also one of those books that deals with just a lot of the past and dealing with the things that have maybe shaped us. I love that book. What's yours? Besides Untamed, because I know that's got to be one of them.
Untamed. The one that I always go back to, I've had this for a couple years now, is Atomic Habits by James Clear.
Okay.
I've been a habits researcher, I feel like, for a couple years. And it's one of those things where it's like, I wonder more about this. So I'm going to go research. And that's what I love. It like captivated me. But honestly, he gives you a lot of knowledge that you can actually take and use in your life, like step by step of like, here's how to do habit stacking. You know, every morning when you're brushing your teeth, then you create a trigger that the next thing you do is answer what you're grateful for. And there you go. You instantly start your day with gratitude. And I just love those real actionable steps. And then I'm going to go totally nerd and say Ready Player One is like my all-time
Sounds
favorite.
like video games.
Kind of. I actually think in a dystopian future type novel, it's like the most realistic for me personally, who I truly believe AI and technology and AR. I go to the Consumer Electronics Show a lot. It's once a year in Vegas. Yes. I like nerd out. I'm like, oh, I get to like touch all the fun cameras. You should see like the Nikon and Canon displays at these. Insane.
Really? Send me some photos.
But Ready Player One is all about like a virtual reality, because we as humans.
I lost your video again.
There we go. Every 30 minutes.
I know.
But it's in a dystopian future where we as humans have like depleted the earth of everything, which we're on our way to.
Yeah.
But we build this system called Oasis that lives in like a headset, like a virtual reality, augmented reality future where that's where you begin to live. That's where your currency is, where you go to school, where your relationships are. And
interesting.
It's scary to me, but the movie isn't as good as the book, of course. Yeah. But the book I've read multiple times, and I just keep thinking like, this is something that truly could happen. I could see, especially like right now.
Yeah.
We're all starting to live within technology more.
Yep.
And in a future where our earth is depleted and we have no other option than to just stay home, what are we going to do to build those connections? And yeah.
Oh, I need to pick that up. I should be taking notes here. There's my steno pad. How about, what is one day in your entire life that sticks out as one of your favorite days or favorite memories?
That's a good question.
I would usually say top 3, but maybe there's one that you can think of.
Honestly, there's so many days lately with Only Human. I think I have a new favorite day like every week.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's so awesome.
The most recent, I think, would be our latest give trip. So we do these international
Talk more about the give trips, because I want to be a part of those in any way possible.
You got to come to one. Yeah, we're having Camp Only Human is happening in August, and then in October we're going back down to Mexico. We have some really incredible partners down in Mexico that we help local communities, local homework clubs. But honestly, it goes back to that impact model. We know that giving back gives more to you than you feel like you're giving to others. And in that moment, witnessing so many people lock into that and then just have that revelation, that moment, and getting to see that happen amongst people that they're connecting with, the stories being told. And we always have an aspect of live music. We believe music brings hope and love and connection. And so we always have that. And just the workshop atmosphere of bringing people together to do a wheel of balance exercise, and then you open up the conversation where it goes deep real quick, and you just see a new side of people. And I think for me, I've always loved observing that. I think as a photographer, that's what we love too, is finding those moments.
Right.
And after these give trips, I am just so full. And we usually have to take, like, our leadership team has to take a day or two after to almost like
Oh yeah.
decompress. And this last one, we went to Costa Rica, and
I
I
just went
know,
there in September. It was the first time I'd ever been. It was beautiful.
incredible. So the first half of it was spent with 36 people that we took with us, in a
Wow.
small beach town. And the connection that came out of it was just so incredible to witness, that you could
Yeah.
all, trust us enough to come on a trip like that, for
Yeah.
us to coordinate it. Like, you put so much trust and just the bravery it takes for someone to come on a trip like
Yep.
that.
Yeah.
And afterwards, we went to this Airbnb, and it was more in like the rainforest part. And I was just listening to nature and then feeling all of this love inside of
Mm.
me from everything that I just experienced. And I was surrounded by love. I had my partner, I had my business partner and best friend. I had, these people that mean so much to me
It's
surrounding
like one of
me.
those dreamy moments that you're like, is this my life right now?
Yeah.
Like, how
Yeah.
is this my life? Like, I've had that in Spain before where I was just sitting there looking around, thinking, like, all I could say was just, this is life. This is what I've been working so hard for, where you just have those moments of those deep, hard conversations sometimes. And also that the talk of like passion and what makes people feel alive. And then you're like vibing off of each other. And I think that's what I've been craving for most of my life, and is wanting connection with people. And I've been for a long time facilitating that connection
Mm-hmm.
with clients, with others, but I wasn't fully a part of that. And I think that's what's been missing, and what I'm actively searching for now. And I think Only Human really is coming into my life at a perfect time, just for me to be a part of more um, vulnerable group activities, because I have been a lone wolf,
Yeah.
and branching out from that after kind of creating myself and creating the life that I want and actively working on that. It's time to start including others in that and myself in that story. So I can't wait to be involved in those trips specifically. That's
Yeah, I can't wait to watch your journey and keep evolving. You're so
and be a part of
inspiring to
it.
me. I
You're
mean,
like, here we are.
I love it though. That is
Yeah.
together in action, right?
Yep.
It's
Yep.
people coming together in beautiful ways, but you continue to inspire me every day. So I just wanted to acknowledge you for the bravery you've had in sharing your story. And you do this unique thing where you include so many others' voices in the decisions that you make to amplify, promote love, your own brands. And I just really appreciate that and really look up to that in you.
Thank you. I think it is really important to, and I've said this a few times, like, be the voice for people who may not be able to share their voice, whether they're in a country that doesn't support that, or a family or a religion. And, they are looking to people like us to take their stories also and include them in our narrative.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Um, I think what you're doing is huge. I'm so excited to be more involved in that. I do want to end with one question that I kind of try to end with every podcast guest is, it is real talk, and you never know what the answer is going to be because everyone's so unique, and I love that. But what keeps you up at night? Like when your head is on the pillow and you're like ready to fall asleep, or you like wake up and you're like, like, what is that one thing that like keeps you up?
It's
Good or bad, anything.
it's not one thing, but it's like the action of all things.
Mm.
So I have these moments, and I just mentioned this to a couple friends the other day. I always feel like I'm capable of more. And I know that within me, I have the capability of learning any new skill, taking on anything, and it doesn't scare me. It actually lights me up and makes me want to do it more.
Yep.
And I have always been one of those people that would like be up for 48 hours and just wired because
Mm.
I had to create that thing inside of me. I needed to take whatever was stirring in me and make it real.
Yeah.
Like, and just like you were saying, I will do all 10 steps start to finish in one night. You will
Yeah.
wake up and I did a thing. That's what I say. I did a thing.
So true. So true. But like it gets overwhelming when you do have gifts and talents where you can pick up a new thing pretty quickly. It just feels like there are so many things to be done in life and you don't have enough time in the day. And that overwhelming thought that like, I'm not doing enough, right?
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
get that.
Yeah.
I think that's definitely something that is consistently on my mind also.
I
Just
wake up working a lot.
yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
just wake up and my brain was like designing something in Illustrator and also
Oh
editing
yeah.
photos. And I'm like, I wake up and I have 20 things I have to go do right now. And
Right.
that's where
Yeah.
I have to take the breath. And my physical practice always comes in the morning because I have to
Mm,
take that moment and be like, no, you can't start your task list yet. You have to self-love, which means like you need to exercise, you need to feed your body, you need to feed your mind,
mm-hmm.
and make sure you don't, go right to the email inbox because heaven forbid one of those emails be bad.
I
And then
know. And
you latch onto it and it's like, all right, my day's ruined.
it's so true. I need to get better at that. Not get better at that. I need to do that, is really take that morning time to have my like mental space where I'm just quiet and still. And I don't do that right now. And I think that's part of the next step in my wild adventure, is figuring out a morning routine or a practice when I can like step away from the busyness and the nonstop intake and then output of creativity and just be okay with sitting there and clearing my head, right?
Absolutely.
I'm so stoked on you. I'm so stoked on you. Did you want to cover anything else on Only Human or Pride?
I don't think so.
Think we're
No,
good?
this was incredible.
Yeah.
I could do this all the time. These
Do you
conversations are the best.
do you mind working backwards really quick and just saying like introducing yourself, like, hi, I'm Bree, and just kind of like a quick overview on Only Human, just in case I do want to put that in the beginning.
Yeah.
Cool.
What's up, humans? I'm Bree Pear, founder of Only Human. I am here for you. I am here for community, and I cannot wait to have this conversation. Steph, thank you so much for having me.
Dance party.
Boom.
You were awesome. Thank you so much. I can't wait to actually hang out in person.
I know.
Like, it's a long time coming. Josh was so over the moon when we connected, because he's like, I've been following them forever. Oh my gosh. Like, he's such a good dude. I can't wait for you to meet him and then for us to connect in person someday. Soon.
Soon.
Very soon. But for now, virtually connecting and completely dominating Pride Month. We have a lot to do, and I will help in any way possible. And I'm so stoked on this. Stoked on you.
Oh, I love it.
Awesome.
Let me stop my recording in
I know.
my other program just in case.
I'm going to stop the one and save it.
Okay.
Because God forbid it doesn't save. Okay. Oh, we just talked for an hour?
I know.
Pretty fast. Yeah, I'll take a screenshot from I think I recorded the Zoom too. Oh, maybe.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, good. Good.
I got it.
I'll take a screenshot from there and share it.
Right.
Cool. Awesome. The box, did you guys get my address for that? Because I haven't seen anything come through. I'm just making sure before I do like takeover and everything next month.
I think
we still have like a month
Josh
before.
Have that going right now.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Do you need anything else from me right now? If not, I'm going to wrap up and get started on editing. I'm so excited.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, thank you for doing this.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me. I can't wait to do more. And
next time you do a trip, I'm there. Figure out how to sign up for that.
Heck yeah.
Get on the waiting list.
All right. I'll talk to you.
Talk to you later. Bye.